Marwan Cameron, and this is the Conduit. It's Wednesday. Someday, y'all. Wednesday, April 28th. Woo. And it is almost May already. What happened to the month? What happened to the year? 2020 is already a third of the way done. Oh, man, it's incredible. It's incredible. However, all that being said, you know, good things are happening. So I'm definitely excited about that. All the things that we have been able to accomplish as an organization over the past 4 months now. Again, tremendously surprising that it's going so fast. Tonight, our guest at the bottom of the hour, here in just a few minutes, will be Branden Davis. Looking forward to having a conversation with him, learning a little bit about this gentleman and what he's up to here in Kitsap County. But first, today is a very special day. Shout out to the Zulu, Raymond Pateau. It is his 54th birthday. Happy birthday, Zulu Warrior. Salute to you. I know that he is working on enjoying his day, adding some additions to his home. And so I know he's definitely excited on embarking on new journeys as he is getting closer to that double nickel, that 4 p.m. dinner, that 20% discount, and all those other things that come with being 55. You're almost there, brother. We're not going to put you at 55 so fast. Enjoy your 54. Happy birthday. You deserve it. Do enjoy your day. I know that you will take time to reflect on the last year and what you want to do in the year and years to come. So enjoy your day. Zulu salute to Raymond Pateau. All right. So definitely want to make sure that we shouted out Raymond today. As you know, your birthday is a very special day. And a lot of people don't like to celebrate holidays. And we could try to respect that, but we still want to acknowledge that because that is important. So that is what we do. But as I said, in about 5 minutes, we will have Branden Davis coming to us. And I have changed up our interview questions. They're going to be a little bit more in depth. So we'll see how it goes this evening. And as I was telling you yesterday, I sent the interview questions and he sent me a response back. He's like, hey, man, can we push the interview to the next day? Because I'm going to have to put some thought into these. I was like, yeah, no problem. So he thought he was going to have more time to prepare. And it's like, yeah, sure, no problem. So he will be on in about 5 minutes. And so we're definitely looking forward to that. As I wanted to give you a couple updates, again, the big vaccination Super Saturday has been moved to May 8th. That is Saturday, May 8th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I talked about that last night. So again, we are providing free transportation if you would like to be vaccinated. But we are also providing free transportation if you just want to come down, ask questions of folks, get some answers to things that you've been thinking about, maybe reduce some of your anxieties. And it's also a resource event. So there's going to be plenty of resources there. So rental assistance, all kinds of things, gather together, grow together. We'll have a booth there. So come on down, give us a call, reach us, 360-373-1000. And so whether it is for the vaccine, for vaccination, or for rental assistance, transportation is, we have appointments all week. And actually, we're going to be open this Saturday and next Saturday in the office to take appointments in rental assistance. It's a big deal. We want to make sure that we reach as many people as possible and help them to, one, stay in their homes, but two, keep their relationships with their landlords as positive as possible. So whether or not you need it, please share that information because there may be someone else that does if it is not you. And also keep in mind that it isn't necessary for you to be the actual landlord, right? We often have people that are living with us, couch surfing, that are paying rent. And if they've had a problem with paying rent, then there is um, a solution there for you. So please give us a call. We can give you the details. This new pocket of money for the KEPA program can also help pay for utilities. So again, please reach out. You know, uh, like I said, we will help you navigate through the process. You're not in it alone, but you do need to be proactive, right? As I was saying before, that first round, $3.1 million came into Kitsap County to help with folks that were behind on their rent. So quite a big deal, and it's really beneficial again, for all parties. One for the tenants, but also for those, the homeowners, right? To help them to continue to pay their mortgage and take care of the bills and provide for their own families and themselves. So a big deal, big deal, big deal. So please keep that in mind. Soon, our 2x2 studies in Ellington coming out soon. We recorded that. What was that, on Monday? I mean, it's Wednesday. Stuff has happened. If you were on the Conduit yesterday, you heard me kind of talk about yesterday. So it's a week that it's only Wednesday. So, been going on. But again, it's good. I busy. It's great to be busy. And so it does feel good. So I should change this up. We are beyond episode 2 now, but that was one of our last episodes that we did. Is there a need for democracy reform? So check us out on Facebook. Reverend Ellington is doing the Conduit 2x2 studies. I am a guest for a segment of it. He has one where he has another person who's new in reading the Bible as a conversation, and then he also own podcast that he talks about and kind of wraps things together. So really it's interactive. So it's pretty awesome, right? Especially when he goes, consider that. I think that's pretty cool. As always, we are looking for volunteer and paid positions. We just hired one driver and looking to get another one coming. So we're really excited about that. I see that Branden has logged in, so I'll bring him in a second. He has a pretty poor internet signal, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to let him get set up, and then I will go ahead and bring him. We will get going. You can follow us on Facebook at we appreciate if you are share and like the content so that we can grow and do the work in the community I would like to do. It's really important for us to have your support. Right, so he logged off. He can hear me, so I think he logged off to try to get to a stronger signal. Now it's telling me I got a weak signal. So he came on and gave me a weak signal. So we'll let him log back in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Our phone number, 360-373-3000. Call. Hey, Branden, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. So it looks like your internet signal was good. You logged in and you were in the red. So looked like you hopped off and came back on. I appreciate you coming on to the Conduit and having a conversation. What we'll do is, as I was telling the audience, I sent you the questions beforehand, and we're going to find out a little bit about you and kind of talk about your opinions and your thoughts and how you see the world. And then lastly, we're going to get into, what you're up to, what you got going on in Kitsap County, which I know about, but I think I'm excited for you to tell everyone else about it.
Of course.
Sound good?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. So again, my guest tonight is Branden Davis, and we're going to go ahead and just get started right off the bat. So, Branden, give us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Uh, Average dude from Brooklyn, man, out here on the West Coast.
All right. So what brings you from Brooklyn all the way here?
So just like my second time out here, I was in the military for 10 years, and my first tour was actually out Everett. And then I came back out here in 2019 and was on the Carl Vincent.
Okay, so you were Navy. What was your rating in the Navy?
I was ABH.
ABH. All right, awesome. And so when you separated from the Navy, you could have went back to Brooklyn. What made you stay here?
God, I mean, he was telling me to stay out here for some reason, so decided to make it work, and sit there and just kept praying. And he told me to stay out here, so I did.
All right. I hear you. So you're listening to God. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. So, you already said God, but how do you define yourself? Talk about the things that you value, right? What's important to Branden?
So things I value is more like fellowship. I value friendship. I value honesty and trust and companionship. Those things that we really take for granted, and family too. So those things that we really take for granted that I guess during this time frame during the pandemic, we actually see who's friends and who's family, who's close, who's not. With all that going on, man, it's just this time frame, man, being out the military and actually developing bonds with different people. Really is a true testament of how people values are.
All right. So you talked about friendship. Tell me what qualities make a good friend.
So qualities like friends all gotta be there for each other, right? So often than not, man, we see each other stabbing each other in the back. So loyalty is a big thing, and on top of it, having commitment too. You got to be committed to actually helping your brother and your sister out. So if I call you my friend, of course I'm gonna be there for you through thick and thin, because that's what true friends are. You don't sit there and allow your friend, to about to walk off a cliff. They don't know that that's a cliff. You grab them and say, "Hey, man, stop." You stop them from sitting and making destructive decisions. And then my time frame in the military, I really seen that how people who are saying that they were my friends who really weren't, because they were allowing me to make destructive decisions.
Okay, so you need someone to be a friend, is someone that's going to be 100 with you, right?
All the time.
But that also means that there has to be trust that's established, that the advice that you take from them is something that you can believe in, right? That they're not trying to steer you in the wrong direction, or they're giving you the advice that they think they want you to do, but what's best for you actually.
So I believe that there's multiple type of friendships. So there's friendships where you can gain value from. There's friends that you also go sit there and learn lessons from. So the friends that you learn lessons from could be negative or positive. So even if you have a friend who's being negative, you could take from that negative outlook and you could change it into something positive. And maybe if you care about that person, you could bring them on your side too, if you want to be positive.
Okay, I like that. So, for the people that call you friend, what would they say about you as far as the qualities that make you a good friend to them?
Hey, you can ask one of them right now. I have two of my partners here right now, and
Yeah, they want to come on. Tell them to come on over. Get on the camera.
Come here, Tony. What y'all say about me as a friend?
Show face, you gotta come on, get up. What's he talking about? What?
Hey, how you doing there, Tony?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Marwan?
Oh man, I'm fantastic. It's good to see you, brother. So the question is what do you see in Branden that makes him a good friend? What are those qualities?
His care and concern for others, and dependability, his management skills, his support, and then to reiterate it, to give it back, to reciprocate it is more or less, the honor. And see, the difference between me and Branden is I'm a lot older, and I've seen some of the mistakes that we make as young men. And I try to help him identify for himself, so when he's making decisions and choices, he makes healthy ones. And that's all I really care about. I don't care if he makes a bad decision, but I also let him know what the healthy decision is. And he makes healthy decisions. And A
Well,
good
that's interesting.
keeps well fed.
You
Man,
know
he
that,
likes to eat good.
and he likes what?
He likes to eat good, Marwan. Yeah, he's good, man. And he gets 3 meals a day, man. So I be hanging around him sometimes, and sometimes
I'm a vegetarian now. I'm a vegetarian.
Wait a minute, you're vegetarian. Didn't you just say something about oxtails yesterday?
Yeah, I can make it, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna eat it.
Oh, okay.
No,
I think we see you can actually make it. I'm just saying. Does your other friend want to jump on and talk about you?
Come on, Mark.
I say what up, man, but I ain't really sure to talk on here today. You know what I'm saying? I had a long flight, just came in from Virginia.
How you doing, Mark? Glad you had a safe flight. So what makes Branden a good friend? What are the values that you see in him?
Man, Brandon just my dog, man. I done seen him at some low points, some high points, you know what I'm saying? We just keep it real with each other at all times. And that's what I value the most. You know what I'm saying? He got my back and I got his back, and it ain't no way from that.
Well, look, the proof is in the pudding. Here he is on the podcast. He's got 2 friends with him in the room. I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate you, Tony.
10 toes down.
Oh man, that's fantastic. So let's go a little bit deeper.
All right.
I'm sure you've had several romantic relationships in your life. True story.
True.
All right. And so if we go a little bit further, what makes a good domestic partner, a romantic partnership? That can be than friendship, right?
So this is what I felt with in the past, man, my past relationships. And the type of person I was selfish and I was self-absorbed. I was cocky and I really didn't care what anyone thought. If anyone said anything about me, I just blew up my head. I was young and immature. So now, and knowing that, I took the steps to then make changes. So when it comes down to relationship, romantic, I believe that my partner is supposed to be my friend. So if we're friends first, then we can sit there and talk about anything. Because if you have a friend, then you want to be able to tell them anything that's going on. So I didn't value my previous partners as them being my friends. I looked at them just as just a relationship, and that was it. And I value my friendships more than that. So now that I'm aware of that, the things that make a good domestic relationship is, friendship, honesty, trust, commitment, and communication. And if you can't get on those levels, then it's all the avenues. There's religion you can go to. You can go to counseling. You can find other healthy behaviors that you can actually incorporate into your relationship, therefore to make it work.
All right. So if you're saying that you're building a friendship first, then how does that transition kind of go deeper where, now, like you said, there's this loyalty, there's this trust, there's you didn't say this, but I would say a vulnerability to be with each other and kind of divulge, those insecurities and things that you're feeling. How does that transition happen?
I mean, it happens naturally. In my opinion, I mean, you can sit there and be interacting with, several different people in different aspects like that, opposite sex or same sex. It's 2021, but it's like once you get that connection with someone, it just happens naturally, and then you don't want to lose it. So not want to lose it, you want to sit there and capitalize on that. You want to sit there and learn that person, learn their triggers, so therefore you can avoid them or at least understand them better. And I think that that's what we fail to do overall because we don't actually want to learn each other. We are too stubborn. We sit there and want things our way or the highway, or we stomp our feet and then we do the things that are going to make our partner, react. And that's not cool.
Facts. Let me ask you to give me a distinction here, if there is. So you're saying a friendship. So you meet. I'm gonna make an assumption, a woman, right? That you find attractive, and you're gonna create a friendship. You're not immediately gonna just, go into, we're in a deep relationship. Is it that? Or is it, hey, you know what? I've been friends with this person for a long time. I never really looked at this person this way. She never looked at me that way. And then one day we just kind of, you know what? You're the one. Is there a distinction there or no?
I mean, it can be. It all depends on the person. Some people like taking things slow. Some people just like taking things fast. I go off the vibe. I go off, the connection. It could be someone who you think is, be a perfect relationship, but y'all just friends. and someone who you sit there and be completely toxic, and you want to be with them because you know that connection's there. It's that spark. So it goes by person, you know, in my opinion.
Branden, you mind telling me your age?
I'm 31.
All right. All right. So I got a question that's not on the sheet there.
Okay.
When you're talking about friends, either friends or romantic relationships, how do you effectively navigate through conflict? You get into an argument, you don't see eye to eye. How do you work through that?
Okay, so I'll tell you about the past me and then the new me, or what I've been working on. I have to work on every single day. So past me, any type of conflict I used to laugh at. So let's say, you know, friends or ex-girlfriends in the past, I used to smile or smirk, you know, not take them seriously and just walk away. My biggest thing was just walk away. Now I believe in taking a break from situations. And once you take a break, then you sit there, exit out and revisit later when cooler heads. Another saying, cooler heads prevail. You know, a lot of people act off emotion and, you know, or anger or any type of emotion. And once they do, it can sit there and lead to something completely negative. Like, you know, something so small that people argue about, like, you know, over a misunderstanding can blow up and, you know, it could be a whole entire, you know, police scene. And that's things you need to avoid. So what I learned is don't laugh in people's face because people don't think it's funny when they're upset. If you're gonna walk away, you know, make it be known that you're walking away and say, hey, I want to take a break. So therefore, you know, come to this conversation when we're both in a different place in our heads. And then come to understand why I had a disagreement. And that's the same thing with friendships too. You know, like if I got my homies and I'm upset with them, I don't want to sit here, be on the phone, argue with them face to face. Hey man, I'm gonna talk to you later.
You know, that's tremendously mature of you to articulate that. So what was
It's a work in progress. It's a work in progress. You know.
All right. All right, there we go. That's like, what was the catalyst from you going from, you know what, hey, I'm done, I'm out of here, from, you know what, I'm gonna walk away, I'm gonna take a breather, and then I'm gonna come back and we can talk through it. Like, what is that for you?
I mean, like I said, it's a work in progress, man. Like I said, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, man. So where I'm from, you know, we don't do a lot of talking, we just do a lot of action. And I had to sit there and learn that I'm not back in Brooklyn, New York. You know, I'm over here in Bremerton, Washington. So, you know, it's everybody from different type of walks of life. So, and knowing that I can't react the way how I used to react, you know, especially when I was a teenager or in my early 20s, I'm a grown man now. You know, I had to move differently. I had to learn to communicate by, you know, learning that and actually, you know, taking practice on it, you know. And like I said, I'm a firm believer in therapy too, and counseling and all that to get those tools because, you know, it's not really offered in our communities. So, and actually having that and getting those tools and keep working on it every single day, then I'm gonna keep bettering myself.
Gotcha. Okay, so therapy is a big one. I absolutely 100% agree with you there. And so the reason why I'm asking and I'm going a little bit deeper is oftentimes when people are seeking advice or, you know, whether they're, you know, Googling information, watching YouTube videos, talking with someone, taking courses, right? There's a lot of theory, but what is the application? What is the action piece that you can say that you're doing when conflict comes up? And so you're saying the mental health. Is there something that you say to yourself also when that conflict happens? Because you may find yourself triggered in an emotional state. Or is there something that you're saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now, I need to back away? Like what is that for you?
So I'm gonna take some words from my cousin, man, and he changed his life. Or the guy, he older, and he was like, you know, in the middle of an argument, you know, no matter who you're arguing with, you just tell a person, let's pray. And like, you know, no matter what you're arguing about, like, hey, let's pray. And you know, it's gonna stop everything in its tracks normally. And you know, you sit there and you pray for understanding of whatever's going on, or you know, you actually, you know, reach out and say like, look, I don't want to argue about this. You know, you actually change the whole entire narrative into something positive. You know, hey, let me give you a hug. I love you. I care about you. This isn't that important. This is just in the moment. And once you change that narrative or try to break it up, and it should help it, you know, minimize, you know, the argument.
That's tremendously powerful. I love it. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. We're going to circle back around to this, but I'm going to move on to the next question. You know, when I sent you these questions, and you know, I appreciate you actually writing, you know, the answers and sending them to me. That was unexpected. But I appreciate the thought that you put into it, right? But as Black people, particularly Black men, we find ourselves, I believe, in an existential crisis, right? We're at a precipice right now where we can go either way. We see what's happening in the world with police violence. Uh, we see what's happening in the Black family and the separation that's been happening for decades, right? Since civil rights, incarceration, systemic racism, the relationships between the Black man and the Black woman, that goes toward, some of the other things that I talked about: anti-Black misandry, self-hate, poverty, homelessness, on and on and on. I can give you just an exhaustive list. And a big one is us not being able to work together. And this is why the question of friendship is in there, right? Because we don't seem to be working together now the way that we did decades past. And I always kind of give this caveat when I'm having conversations, right? I expect people to have an intellectual conversation and not to be dishonest, right? When I make a claim or state an opinion, in no way am I saying 100% all people, all Black people, this or that, right? So people try to derail arguments like that, where it's like, well, I'm not like that. We're not saying that it's necessarily you, and I'm not saying that it's all people. Let's have an intellectual conversation. But this is an issue in the Black community. One, do you agree with that? And two, how do we even begin to repair that?
Of course, I agree with your statement. I believe that there's a major disconnect between, our community in a whole, and it goes passed down from generations. So when you look at it, it's all about what we're taught. We look at, from my generation, to my parents' generation, to my grandparents' generation. The one thing that we all lacked was proper education. We weren't educated on, well, as a whole, we weren't taught about, credit score. We weren't taught about, really owning property. We weren't taught about investments. Those things weren't common, at least in my household. We were always taught to, to just, hey, get up, go to school, go to college, and work 20 years, and that's it. Or, get a good job with a 401k and a good pension. We weren't sitting there taught to think outside the box because it wasn't normal for us. It was, going jobs, being a police officer, going to the military, go be a doctor and stuff like that. But it was never no guideline. It was no blueprint towards it. It was just go do it. So it was a massive lack of communication between generations that's been passed on. So with that being said, if we're able to bring that type of communication back and that level of understanding and education back into our youth, then what we can do is we can actually change the future from, from now. That's where it starts. It starts now, because we already know the mistakes that everyone's been making in our past, or, from generation to generation. Why not just break it? All we need to do is, come together, the older generation and my generation come together, and we sit there and we find that gap and we actually build on it. So what we could do is, like, create websites where, that's going to be informational. We promote it. Not only we promote it, we sit there and we are out in the streets and we're promoting it on a massive level. We sit there and we telling our youth about grants for getting to colleges for free. We're telling them about stuff like the Homestead Act, that not a lot of people know, where they can get free property if they live in rural areas. We're telling them about different job placements, that actually is going to tailor to their expertise. If we take all that information, we put it all into one place, and we actually go, distribute it as a whole, into the right organizations, then we can actually, change the whole entire course of the Black community. It's all about the effort and the work that we're going to put into it. And not that many people, nowadays that I see actually want it. They actually are thriving on the violence that you see, and we're upset. We're upset behind, police brutality. I mean, every right to be. We're upset about the inequalities that's going on. It's just now that we have, these groups that are upset, and now it's time to put the fire in other directions too. So now we want to build on that, capitalize on that, say, no, we're upset and we're going to change it. Now we're going to upset and only going to riot, because that's still not getting the message across. That's still making everyone in the world look at us like animals, at least in my opinion. And I don't, like I said, I totally agree with the message of what we're doing out in the streets. I agree with it 100%. I think that change needs to be happen. And like, Malcolm X said, change is going to happen, but, when we change, head on, but then, that's how I feel.
All right, all right. I appreciate such a thorough explanation there. Let's pull it down a little bit to a little bit more micro level, right? You talked about kind of Black Lives Matter, or you talked about marches and kind of the nation starting to come together and kind of take these actions. You said that you agreed with my statement before. Do you think that Black men in particular have a duty to step up in a leadership role? And if so, what is that?
Of course, we have duties step in this role, but we still need education to step in the roles. We need to be taught, and we could do self-taught because we are naturally entrepreneurs. I look at the people I met out here. I look at people I met in the states who I've been in, and they're naturally entrepreneurs, but they don't know the steps to go about achieving it. They don't know about going out to the courts and getting permits and stuff. It's all just shooting from the hip. So we just need to sit there and be taught that. We need to go look out and get information. And one thing I believe that social media is a big hindrance on that because we're so glued to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. We're so glued to all this stuff that it distracts us from what's important.
Okay, so we got to get out there, start doing the work. So what if you have folks that say, hey, look, man, there's a lot of folks out here doing the work, right? I mean, right here I don't really want to use this county as an example. Let's use Seattle or Pierce County, Tacoma, right? There's plenty of Black organizations, there's plenty of churches and things like that. So and they're all doing good things in their own right, but why does it seem like there's a gap in us really collaborating and getting further?
Well, and this is like my personal opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that people are distracted. The resources are out there, but people are distracted and they're scared. Let's say for instance, if a group in Seattle is putting together something. Why can't we sit and all either chime in on a Zoom call or something like that, a conference, and actually get all information? We're too preoccupied with everything else. We don't have our priorities in order. Once we sit there and get our priorities in order and understand what's important, like you said, building black belt, picking up our brother and making sure that they're not falling. Once we get all that going, because like I said, Seattle is massive.
Yeah.
Imagine if one of the groups that then came out here to Bremerton or came to Kitsap County or came to Tacoma and spread the knowledge that they know there. Imagine how many people will sit there who are distracted will actually want to come because they don't say, oh, I don't feel like being stuck in that traffic. I don't feel like driving. I don't feel like this. If it's right there in front of their face, they might sit there and capitalize on it.
All right. I love it. I'm R1 Cameron. You're watching The Conduit. My guest tonight is Branden Davis. We're talking about, Black men stepping up in the community and operating as leaders. And we know that several of us are doing it and have been doing it for quite some time. What would you say to those that would say, hey, look, Branden, I hear what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, and I'm actually doing it. But as I'm doing these things, people won't, come to my business. They won't collaborate. I'm trying, but it is what it is. Everyone's kind of just doing it on their own. I've got this open tent, but people aren't coming to the tent. Do you see that? And then what would you say as words of encouragement to those folks that feel like, hey man, I'm out here, I'm doing the work. I just can't, people won't come and be a part of it.
What I would say is, man, when one door closes, another one opens. Like when you look at it, not everybody's going to agree with your vision, and that's okay because it's your vision. That's up to you to sit there and you put the effort into making sure your vision sit there and people understand it, and people want to collaborate with you. I'll tell you this right now. I had like several business ideas in my head, over the years, and not all of them would go. And that's okay. It's gonna take, that's my dream, my vision, and if for other people, that's your dream, your vision, your goals, your business, you feel passionate about it, then you're gonna find a way. Because there's always a way. It's just all about time. You gotta take a step back for a moment, take a deep breath, in my opinion, pray, and the answer is going to show.
Gotcha. All right. I love it. So I'll tell you what I kind of tell folks, right? When I first started G2, I was told some of those things, right? I was kind of discouraged from trying it. Why would you put resources and time, to, try to help, strangers, and quite frankly, people that probably could care less, whether you lived or died, right? And, for me, it was my mission. It's what I wanted to do to give back. And I felt like there was a void that I could fill by creating G2. And so that's what I did. And there were a lot of folks, as I said before, that were very discouraging. Like, it's like, you should just take care of your daughter and live a good life, and, don't take all this stress on. And of course, when you're going through it, any new entrepreneur is going to have struggles as they start off in business. And, when you have those hiccups and things are going, and they're like, oh, see, I told you, you should just go ahead and fold up the tent and just go and do something else. And so I have this philosophy where I say, for me, the only way that I can lose is if I don't try, right? If I make an attempt and I'm not successful, I haven't lost, I've learned. So for me, I say only win or I learn. There is no loss, because the only way I can lose is if I don't try. What do you think about that?
I mean, I agree. Closed mouths don't get fed. So it's one thing that I believe strongly in. You always gonna have people who are gonna try to doubt you because they're not trying to. They might see your dream, your vision. They might automatically think you're gonna fail. And I had that a lot, and of course throughout my career in the military, where people said you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. You can't make rank, you can't get this pin, you can't get this warfare pin, you can't. Everything that they were saying, you can't get a degree. And every time when someone said that, I'm like, why not? Why not? And every time I kept, raising a ladder, kept raising that bar. I mean, climbing that ladder, making sure that, what somebody gonna say that doesn't dictate my life. Like, this is my life. People gonna sit, they're gonna always gonna, try to put doubt in your head. I ain't taking it no more. At one point in my life, me personally, one point in my life, I took it all the time. And it raised a lot of, doubt and insecurities in my mind, And at one point I was like, I'm not taking this no more. I know what I'm worth and I know what I'm gonna get.
Fantastic. So are there people in the community that you believe that are doing the work right now?
Yeah, I think Tony, he stood outside, but he introduced me to Coach Chuck, like literally about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and I wound up meeting all you guys, and just being around you guys and seeing the positive energy. That's what I've been looking for out here. I didn't know you guys existed. I didn't know y'all guys existed out here. So being around that and seeing the moves that y'all trying to make, and how sincere it is, and how passionate y'all are, it's just it's exciting. It puts the fire to me to keep pushing what I need to do, what I want to do. So, and me and y'all, I definitely see the moves that y'all making.
So with putting me to the side here, our audience might not know who y'all is. So you said Coach Chuck. Who else have you met that you would say is doing that work out here?
So I met, this is recently. I met, you, Coach Chuck. I met Drayton. I still to meet Neil, and it was one more gentleman I met so far. Other than that, I've just kind of been moving them on. And Tony, of course, I see all the good that he be doing.
All right. So you Tony's there with you. You've brought up his name a few times. Why is Tony so important to you?
At one point in my life, I gave up. I gave up on everything. So I was in a really bad place mentally, and when Tony's a box, my boxing coach. He came over, picked me up, and made sure that he was around so that again snap my mind back into place out of the depression I was in. And I value that. Every day he was like, let's go train. I'm like, man, I ain't got time for any money to sit there and give it to him. don't worry about it. He hanging out, he's talking to me. He's like, putting God, put God.
All right. Well, we lost Branden. We'll wait for him to come back on. We're watching the Conduit. And our guest is Branden today. Great conversation. I see a couple folks are in the chat. Lucia, I understand. I guess the president is speaking right now, so I can't trump the president. That's okay. If I could, that might be would be a hell of a thing for sure. So, but for everyone else that isn't watching the president, or if you are, do know that you can watch the restream, as it will be immediately available once the interview is over. And Branden is back. Go ahead and finish your thought there, Tony. Sorry about that. Tony's behind you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. So go ahead and finish your thought on Tony, if you would.
So Tony sit there and got me out of a really dark place, and he stayed with me, told me about fellowship, keep praying to God, and just getting back into a normal, get back to being me. And when I came back from being all stuff that was going on, I became a better version of me, because now I had the wisdom from someone who's older than me. I actually had a friend who actually took the time not only to point out my negative flaws and what I was doing, and not only look at it from a selfish aspect, to look at it from a different aspect, saying that I can be better than I am today. So that's what I learned from him in that time frame when I actually needed, a real friend.
Okay. So you said that, he helped you through a rough patch. What was the difference this time? What made it, this is the time that it's going to be different and it's going to stick and I'm moving in another direction? What do you attribute that to?
You said it in your question. Time. How much time do I have to keep making the same mistake? But another 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20?
Well, and the reason why I asked that question is, for many of us, that is what it is, right? I mean, we will continue to make those mistakes over and over again, or we'll have a brief stint of, working on whatever the crisis is that we're trying to kind of steer away from, and then we find our way back into it. But I think you would say this time it feels different for you. You're in a total different headspace and more productive, and your trajectory is just going off, right? So it seems like there's more than just time that's the catalyst there.
It is. It's God's time. Honestly, any other time I was trying to move, it was selfish. All my actions really were selfish, and it was geared towards one thing: making money. Geared towards, hey, how am I get the next big check or something like that? And I just wasn't really happy. So it was felt forced. Everything I'm doing now just feels natural. And because it feels natural, and I've been praying on it, everything's just falling right in line for me. For me just to walk up and just open the door. Just walk up and just take it. Opposed before, it was like, me fighting and everything.
So were the previous instances of you, trying to make a change, were you not talking to God, or?
No,
okay.
it wasn't.
Gotcha.
My conversation with God was completely different from what they are now. My conversation was completely different. I mean, that's my personal conversation with them, but they were not where they are today. Nowhere near it. I now, my conversations are, more about others, and trying to sit there. How can I be better for others? I'm more about, how can I get that mental clarity? How can I get that better understanding, opposed to, being selfish?
Tell me this: how can someone else benefit from having a Tony in their lives?
Man, Tony the man. Tony the man. I see this man get up and 6 o'clock in the morning to help others. not because that he has a duty to do it. He wants to do it, and and finding someone like that is rare. It's contagious. It makes you take yourself out of the situation and realize that it's not always about you. So having someone like Tony, who in my life is and teaching me this, it makes you want to be like, yo, I can do this too, and you feel good about it after you do it because your acts are they're not selfish. They're selfless. So and having someone like that's the world had if everybody had a Tony by their side, and he's not perfect. He's not perfect. He sits and tell you all the time, I'm not perfect. I made my mistakes in the past. But understanding making mistakes, you learn from them, you move on from them, and you make sure that other people don't sit there and repeat those same mistakes. That's the real blessing. And that's why I value him because he owns up to the fact that he made mistakes. And by making those mistakes, he sit there and make sure that people he care about don't make the same mistakes. So when he gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning to help other people, and from 6 to 8, 9 o'clock at night just to help other people, why can't I do it?
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing from you is mentorship, the brotherhood, is critically important for us, especially as Black males. Is that something that you would agree with?
Yeah, 100%.
How would someone go about trying to find a mentor?
That's the thing, man. We got to start building up our churches. We got to start building up, actually making it a thing. Going to schools, volunteering, and actually putting ourselves in situations. Why not do a big brother, big sister program? Why not? Hey, the churches once a month open up in there, and we have fellowship where we spend and mentor, the youth. Why can't we sit there and start nonprofit organizations sit there and build on actually communication with the youth? Because like I said, we have a lot of information we can pass on to them, and they're gonna listen.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying about the kids. I also feel like many of us as adults are broken, right? And you talked about mental health earlier, and I think many of us may have missed that mentorship, right? Maybe even that father son relationship, and missed out on that, and so there's some gaps there that men need a space to congregate and to mature and find someone that they can believe in and trust. There's something that you said that was interesting that I wanted to circle back to about Tony. You said that Tony's not perfect, and he'll tell you that he's not perfect. Oftentimes, when people are looking for an answer when they're lost, right, and they say, "Okay, I might try to follow this person. What he says sounds pretty good." But at the first sign of imperfection, they're like, nah, he's not the one. So you understanding that Tony isn't perfect, what allows you to have such a steadfast belief in him?
Because how selfless he is.
Mm.
And like I said, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, and that is cool. So even if we see, someone who we idolize, and they fall, we understand that we're human, and that's okay to sit there and fall. But it's all about when you get back up, what you're gonna do with it. You're gonna sit there, gonna make the same mistake. You're gonna learn from it. And and my dealings with Tony, me and him been friends for over 2 years, and we talking about on a professional level as far as like his career with boxing and on the friendship, and on every time I like I said I make mistakes and he corrects me immediately. Hey, that's wrong. And I'm like, it ain't wrong. I'm like, we go back and forth all the time. Like, it's not wrong. He's like, no, it's wrong. So that's not the right way to think. And I stopped myself. I'm like, he's right. Let me humble myself. Who am I to sit there and judge? I'm not perfect. I'm far from that. But it's all about the times I fall and I get back up and what I'm gonna do with it.
And Brandon, and if you will, just give me a few seconds here. The thing that I really want to pull out from this is, oftentimes when people are looking to find that space of where they belong, whether it's an organization or with another person through mentorship or trying to build something, we often look for the vessel whatever it is that's perfect. And we're also looking for those imperfections. And when we see it, then that can give us that out to say, well, see, I tried, but it doesn't exist, right? And that happens with the church, right? You go to a church, you visit, and this, that, and the other isn't perfect, and it's like, yeah, no, I'm good, right? I can't be here, and so you don't allow your space, your space to actually grow from it. And there's a lot of different analogies that I've heard. People will say, take the meat, spit out the fat, or eat the meat, spit out the bones. Um, and what you're saying, I think, is really important because, again, in many conversations, this piece isn't really pulled out of the conversation, right? It just is, it's a Nike ad, right? Just do it. And people are like, but I don't know how to do it. I see I hear what you're telling me, but I can't get from here to there. And what you're saying is don't look for perfection, look for the heart, the purpose and the mission, and allow that person to be imperfect, and allow yourself to grow through it, and don't block your blessing. Can you correct me on that or elaborate on that?
Man, you said a whole mouthful. But it comes down to fellowship. When it comes down to actually finding that temple, we have to understand that, not every single, like I said, we're on earth. There's nobody perfect here. So we sit there and we go to a church, we see something that we don't like, do we just stop going? Or do you still sit there and you want to learn from that? Oh, because we don't have to like everything. But it's all about, like I said earlier, that stepping outside that box.
Mhm.
Once you step outside that box, that comfortability, and then go to a different realm and try to understand it. We don't have to necessarily have to sit there and enforce it. As long as we understand it and we're gonna keep learning from it, then that's adding another box onto our comfortability. So saying that you can have that conversation in that space. So by having that, by stepping outside your box and learning other boxes and getting these other tools, you are adding on to your value to yourself. And you can sit there and you can interpret that however you want. You can sit and take different parts of it. For instance, if you are, a doctor, right? Would you sit there and you go try to build a house?
Hmm.
No, you wouldn't. But you can learn.
Mhm.
Just like someone who, is in construction, they can sit and stop and go learn to be a doctor. It's all about stepping outside your comfort zone and actually learning that other aspect of life. And one of my when I was deployed and I was in Bahrain, I had a conversation with someone who was who was Muslim, you know, uh, and the conversation was really really intense. I'm Christian, and he was like, beliefs on gay marriages and stuff like that, which is really strict. Don't believe in this stone. And I was like, hey man, look, I understand your belief, but you gotta see it from a different perspective. Like you don't like who are you to sit there and judge someone else? If you have your beliefs, then why can't you just sit there and explain your beliefs to someone else, opposed to sitting and trying to condemn them?
Mm.
That's not what we put on this earth to do. I'm like, I told him, so you make mistakes, I make mistakes. Is anybody throwing stones at you, cursing you out whenever you mess up? No. I was like, what, you sit here and you take whatever you learned in your life and you sit there and you tell other people and they choose to accept it, then that's okay. If they don't, then that's okay too as well. It's all about acceptance. It's all about understanding. It's all about growth.
Growth, absolutely. I'll tell you, a personal story about me. The pandemic, um, I think has been. You've got the bad, right? There's lots of bad. We don't need to talk about the bad, but you've got to try to make the best out of all your situations. And so for me, it has allowed me to have some introspection, and to be able to reflect on where some of my blind spots are and how I'm going to try to grow.
I agree.
And in one of those ways is, what do people see when they see me, right? Am I a collaborator? Am I someone that says, "Hey, come, we can build together"? Am I the type of person that says, "Well, I can build, but I'm not going to build with that person or that person. I can build with this one only. I'll help you build, but it's got to be this way, and that's the only way I'm going to build it." Or, am I going to try to find that commonality, that common ground, to try to, help as many different people as I can, and not allow my own self and my own ego to get in the way. And so that's kind of my 2021 journey that I'm on, is to try to reassess uh, and try to grow. Right. One of the things is whether you like it or not. I'm thinking about Charles Barkley back when he was playing. I think this was back in the '90s, and he was like, I'm not a role model.
So I was born in 1990,
man. Well, Charles Barkley was like, I'm not a role model, right? So you shouldn't have your kids looking to me as a role model. And the argument to me is whether or not the kids should look at him as a role model or not, he is who he is in the community. So they're going to look at him regardless, right? And so I think that puts a level of responsibility on to him and on to us if we are in this position, right? And so if they see that you're being incongruent in how you deal with people, then it does make it harder for people to try to change their ways and find a way to collaborate and go off into their own circles and grow those circles and do things like that. So, for me, I think that's important. When I reflect on this, my dad was a Baptist minister, and I don't have a church home here right now. And I think there's a lot of fundamental issues with the Black church just in general, especially when it comes to Black men. But at the same time, whether you're Christian, Muslim, agnostic, atheist, as men, and I'm just speaking again because this is our conversation, as Black men, we have to find a way to come together and build, right? And be able to support each other and support our communities. And so we can't wait on the government or another group to fix our situation. It's incumbent upon us to take the reins and step into that leadership role and do that. And then it kind of goes macro from there, right? Black men with Black women, and then our community, and then just kind of ripples out from there. And so that's kind of the mindset that I'm a little bit more focused on now this year than, or just, I would say, being more intentional than I have been before, right? My mission for our organization is self-sufficiency for the residents here in Kitsap County. It's not for Black men or Black, Black people. It's for all people, right? But there is a focus in there that I need to be cognizant of as who I am. The fact that people are going to look at me whether I like it or not. And so I tell other people that you're G2 all the time. So it just is what it is. My daughter and I are at the park, and hey, Mr. Cameron, can you help me with this? Or what do you think about that? So what they see is G2, or they see, the instructor at the college, or whatever the case may be. So I don't have a choice in that. So I have to present in a certain way. And that can be, pretty difficult.
Of course, I mean, because you're established here, so people are gonna know you for your accolades throughout life out here.
And I can see that people they don't want that, right? That can be hard, because again, like Tony, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes, right? And I hope that I do, because I can't learn if I don't. If I'm doing everything and I'm operating from a space of safety, then I'm not going to grow as a person. And ultimately, my level of helping other people will be very limited.
Yeah. There's one thing that crosses my mind about that.
Sure.
It also depends on, where your status is, and this goes back to, when Obama, imagine if Obama would have made the same mistake Trump made, the comments he made. How would the media would have portrayed him? What would they would have said about him? It's something to sit there, food for thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, we are having a great conversation with Branden Davis. This is Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit. I got a couple more questions for Branden. I so appreciate you being here today and speaking to us. Love the insight that you're sharing with us. I love the fact that, to be what I see, is the older of us need to continue to do the work, but at some point the old people have to pass it to the young people. And I'm not even 50 yet, so I'm not saying I'm old, but by no means. But it is going to be the youth, and so we've got to build our youth up, and the drive, the energy, the fearlessness. The older we get, we tend to become more cautious, right? We're not as I won't say we're not as ambitious, but we definitely kind of operate from a space of caution and maturity and wisdom. And it's like, well, no, we can't necessarily move like that. We need to kind of do it this way. And you and your youth is like, hey man, let's go, let's do it. Come on, we're gonna find a way, and if we can't, we're gonna find another way, right? So we need that, and so we do need to support you in that effort. Will you talk to us about what you got going on? Because you got quite a bit going on. What endeavors?
So I'm over here and this is I'm in the process of actually starting a business, man, and I'm blessed to say that I'm actually at the finish line with the finish line to the start of another line. And me starting this business is not even for me; it's for Tony. I want to to make sure that his dream gets accomplished because he deserves it, at least in my eyes. So I've been taking the steps and doing everything I can to make sure that he's in a place where he wants to be, where he's accepted at. And if God willing, man, within the next week, I'm gonna be a business owner of the CEO of a fitness center. Right down here, like in Bremerton. So if God willing, everything works out properly, then so, yeah, watch me take off.
Oh, man, I love it. I love it. And you said something that surprised me. You're like, wait a minute, you're starting a business and it's for Tony? What?
Yeah.
Sir, please elaborate. What?
So Tony's dream was to open up a gym, and we talked about it for months and months and months, and I just kind of like put the fire, to get everything done, and I just been like, dragging him everywhere, saying, "This is yours. This is yours. This is yours. This is yours. This is, I want you, to have this is yours, basically." Now I'm gonna say it again. This is yours, Tony. Even to the point where I even named the gym after him. So, he knows that this is his. Pull the rug beneath his feet. None of that. I'm doing this for my friend. Because I believe in him. I believe in his craft. I believe in his skills. I believe in him as a person. And I know the dedication I'm putting to it, he's gonna put the same amount of dedication to as well. At first it's been a little sketchy, he's been nervous and everything, because it's I can only imagine how mind blowing it is, like, hey, my friend is, trying to start a business for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's mind blowing in itself, it's like, what's the angle? What's this? And it's like, that comes back down to, being a true friend. Because I know, like, once he achieves his dream, his goals, then it's time for me to sit and not come get mine done. And I know he's gonna be right there supporting me. Like my goal is to be a lawyer.
Okay.
So I'm trying to also be studying for law school, getting all that going. So this is purely for him, and my dream is completely separate. So
wow. So yeah. Are you currently in school for law right now?
I was supposed to take my LSAT in June, and I've been procrastinating on studying. I'm not gonna lie, but once I get the ball rolling, I should be enrolled in Seattle University for law this year in August.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Good luck with that. Hey, and I just met you yesterday or day before yesterday? Yeah. From what I know about you from just a short conversation, what you set your mind to is gonna happen for sure. Tremendously powerful for you to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start a business, but it's not going to be for me. It's going to be for my friend. And I'm going to go and be an attorney. I'm not going to start my business first and focus on me, get myself situated, but I'm going to do this for him first. That's most people would say, what?
Yeah. I've been, when I first idea to people and telling about it, that's what they were saying. So I kind of just stopped talking about it and just started making moves on it. And I told specific people about it, and the people who know who's going to back me and trust me, and know that I was doing something right. And everybody who I've been telling, or been coming around, has been extremely supportive, extremely positive. Everybody who knows Tony, has literally been calling his phone. He's been he's like, go ahead, go forward, do it. Like, I can't wait to sign up and stuff. So I'm like, man, you see the feedback we're getting, like, see the positive we're getting. Like, this is about to happen. This is gonna happen. We're gonna be successful at it.
Oh man, that is fantastic. If you could just impart some things on the youth or folks, what are some of those things that you would want to leave people with as we end the podcast?
And the company you keep can either make or break you. This is saying, man, is don't have squares in your circle. All right. There can be people who will sit there and pretend to be your friends, and pretend to be there for you. But if you look closely, you know they're there for you. One, and two, stay focused. And staying focused. You have the opportunity, to move mountains. And that's one thing that we lack because there's so many distractions out here. We got so many distractions out here in the world. We got Facebook, we got Twitter. All the different distractions. So if we're able to stay focused, and get pass that down to the youth, if we're able to, watch out for who's around us and actually put positive people in. I'm sorry that my background is so loud. I'm on a live podcast. I'm so sorry about that.
It's so good.
Just stay focused, and watch the people around. They can either make or break you.
So you said something to me on Monday where you said that you had to kind of walk away from some folks, and I think that there are going to be a lot of youth that watch this that are your age, younger, even some older people that are watching this that may have some relationships in their life that aren't positive. How are you able to walk away?
Man, honestly, and this is how I look at it. If you truly love someone, if you truly care about them, and you think that they're actually, negative or, toxic, then you sit there and you try your best to understand them as a person. You don't give up on them. You sit there and you try, you give them chance, but it's only so much chance you can give someone, right? You value the relationships that you have if you sit and feel someone is a good person. And in valuing a relationship, you want to sit there and want to take those steps to actually see them be successful. Because not everyone who is, who's a bad person or, quote unquote, a bad person, it's just maybe they might be in bad situations or they had a bad past that they can't really escape from, that they don't know how to because it wasn't really taught in our community. It was either taught, shut up, deal with it, move on from it, opposed to actually getting down to the root of the problem. So if you're able to, see someone who's a bad person, see what they went through, and actually understand it, and actually try to take those steps with that person, so that therefore they can be a better person, or at least understand where they're coming from. And then you can save a person, you can save a relationship too. But some people just cannot be saved. Like, you gotta say, hey, my brother, my sister, your God bless you. I'm gonna put you in my prayers. And I ran into a lot of people like that. A lot of people like that where I was like, I just don't want your energy around me. Like, yo, you that weirdness over there, man. Like, and that's okay. You just, hey, brother, I'm gonna pray for you. You keep on doing what you're doing, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
Well, that can be hard because it's like, hey, you were supposed to be down. We're supposed to be boys, this, that, and the other. Now you're doing this and you're not going to be there for me. Like, seriously? I mean, you ain't my friend, man.
And of course you come across that. And you look at them like, man, look, I've been sitting there, trying to get you to understand my point of view, where I'm coming from, and how to benefit your life. If you don't want to sit and take my words of wisdom that, I'm telling you, or you don't want my help, all I'm gonna do is pray for you, my brother. And not everybody. If you my homie, you're not gonna keep doing the things you're doing. If you, my friend or someone who I care about, you're gonna try and make those changes. Because if I'm doing something to hurt you, I'm 31 years old. I ain't got that much time to keep running around these streets. You know? Like I could look back, you know, I done some nonsense. I done some straight nonsense going over the years. And you know, I can't be 31 doing the same nonsense. You know, if you don't want to grow up, you don't want to change, I can't force you to change. But let me sit there and be the great person who I need to be. So therefore other people who've seen that, they can actually come around, they can be around with that. They can grow with that. And they can sit there and get a positive message from me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what would you say to folks that are saying, hey, you know, there's like this lonely void space when you leave and kind of turn away from the folks that, you know, don't mean the best for you, and are keeping you stuck in that space and that void in between you meeting and increasing your circle of support and influence. What would you say to those folks as they're trying to make that transition? Because it can be lonely as you kind of walk away from that and you're kind of out there on your own. You're like, man, did I do the right thing? Man, it'd be nice just to talk with them and hang out with them. But I'm out here and it's hard. What's your advice?
Hey man, if you, it's all about being humble. If you can humble yourself, if you did me wrong, or if I did you wrong, if I messed up, I'm gonna say own up to if you bring it to my attention. You know, I don't mind sitting around and going to get something to eat or get a drink with someone. If you did me wrong, but yo, humble yourself to know that you know that at one point in time that you weren't solid. So because you weren't solid, own up to that, and hey, let's move on from it. How we gonna build on that? I'm gonna keep you at a distance until you prove yourself. But the moment you prove yourself, yeah, come eat at my table. We good.
That's a powerful.
I still got the Brooklyn in me, so I mean, somebody did me wrong, I might sit and slap the hell out of someone, but you know, but that's cool though. It's cool though. You know, I might slap you, but I'm gonna give you a drink at the end.
Okay, I don't know how that's gonna go, but that's an interesting way to go about it. Branden, I really appreciate you coming on and having a conversation with us. Listening to a young mind, I think, is important and powerful. I think that, you know, what the youth have to share is so important for us, especially as we age, hopefully, into wisdom. That if we do say that we're lifelong learners, then we can take and learn from those that are ahead of us, with us, and coming up behind us, so that we can continue to become better ourselves and infect our community in the way that we want to, in a positive way. So I really appreciate you coming on. Do you have any questions for me or any final thoughts? I'm gonna give you the final.
Nah, I don't, man. I appreciate you inviting me on, man. I look forward to, you know, additional podcasts in the future. You know, this is a blessing to be on your podcast, and I can't wait till next time I come on and let you know where I'm at in life. All
right. Well, you know, that is Branden Davis. I gave him the final word. I am Marwan Cameron. This is the Conduit. We will be back Friday night. Our interview is with Tasia Green, another young leader in the community doing great things. Can't wait to talk with her. So I'll see you then. In the meantime, please subscribe, like, share. Take care of each other. Right. Thank you.